Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Time Under Tension. This week, I'm going to be talking to you about arenas for growth. I have thought about my journey with bodybuilding and weightlifting in general and training fitness. Typically, that's more of my outlook is physical activity. But all of these things that we pursue in life are really arenas for growth. Sometimes we get so caught up on the surface level pursuit of a goal that we start to mistake the outcome as the goal. But truly, the goal of a journey, the intention towards a goal, is more about the growth that we experience on the way to the goal than the actual achievement of the goal itself. And I think a great example of this is you'll see people who are successful in some area, like someone writes a book and it becomes a New York Times bestseller. And you'll see over and over again in podcasts and interviews with this person that they'll tell you that happens and you think it's going to be this great, wonderful thing. And there's actually a low point that follows because you start to wrap all of your identity, all of your sense of accomplishment up in that end point goal. And then you get there and realize that it's really just another step in the journey, that there's more on the other side, that it isn't just this peak and then things end in that state of excitement and fulfillment and contentment and wholeness and achievement, but instead you're just taking one more step in your journey. And so I think coming back to that journey view of recognizing that every step that we take is an opportunity to grow and to learn along the way, we can start to celebrate the smaller wins along the journey, leading up to potentially a larger outcome that most likely won't hold that much more weight than each baby step that we took along the way, other than it is reflecting back to us that we are capable of achieving that to which we set our minds, which I think is the most powerful thing about setting a goal. So my point in all of this is, one, make sure that when you set a goal, you continue to keep your eyes on the day-to-day actions that are necessary to reach that goal. And then secondly, recognizing that every area of our life, every pursuit that we commit to, every relationship presents opportunities for growth and learning. And when we start to look at all of these different relationships in our lives as arenas for growth, we can recognize that they all hold purpose. They all hold meaning, that they all give us opportunities to practice showing up as our best self, to practice developing skills and embodying values that we want to cultivate more in our lives. It allows us to find more meaning in sometimes the more trivial and repetitive things that occur in our lives, and to not tie ourselves so tightly to a particular pursuit out of fear that if we don't have that, that we will lose our sense of accomplishment or purpose, but instead recognize that everything that we're doing presents opportunities for growth and development. So an example of this, when I decided to stop bodybuilding, which I had someone ask me this recently, why did you decide to stop? I decided to stop bodybuilding because I wasn't fulfilled by it anymore. It was something that served me for a time. It was a wonderful thing. It taught me so much about myself. I really learned how to push my limits. So much learning happened in that arena. But there came a point where I tried to force myself to stay in that particular arena because I thought that that was success. And I was looking at other people around me who were continuing to pursue this journey as as a bodybuilder, and I could see a lot of dissatisfaction and unhappiness. And instead of committing myself to continuing on that path that I could see wasn't always extremely fruitful, when I also felt an internal pull to try out other things in my life, I had to make the decision. Would I stay in this knowing what it could lead me to, knowing that it may not be very fruitful, that I may continue to struggle with food, that I may never be satisfied with my body, that I may have to take more drugs over time, and I'm not sure if that's something that I want to do, that I will be spending so much money on this sport. All of those things about it that are necessary when you decide that that's what you want to commit to. But I could also tell that in committing to that, I was saying no to other things that I could tell that I wanted to do. And so I had to make that decision. And when I let go of bodybuilding, the amount of relief that I felt on the other side was reflective to me of it having been the right decision. But what I also learned was, because I now had space and room to try out different pursuits, I started realizing that there's so much to learn in so many areas of life. I started doing jujitsu. I started training differently in the gym. I started doing yoga. I recognized I'm not very flexible and I'm not super attuned to my body in a lot of ways. And I don't know how to be flexible with food. What does that look like? What does it look like to be vegetarian and vegan again after years of being on a meal plan? What does it look like to just live more intuitively? And that was something that I wasn't able to do. It was a skill set I wasn't able to develop because I had committed myself so fully to this particular arena. Now, my point in saying this isn't that it's bad to commit yourself fully to something. I think we should. I think we should have pursuits in our lives, very specific and tangible goals that give us a trajectory. But I think that the intention in it, in the journey, is to say, what do I really want to learn along the way? And perhaps you don't know right off the bat, but you can set a goal like, I'm going to run a half marathon and I'm going to lean into whatever that journey brings. That is the intention, not I'm gonna run a half marathon and win it, or my time has to be this. Like, it's not just outcome based, it's saying, I'm gonna lean into whatever that journey brings. So then when you get into the day-to-day training, all right, I'm gonna start running. Today is a 3-mile run. And then you start to hit that point of fatigue. Then you recognize, oh, this is where I'm growing. This is where I'm learning. This is where I'm developing my character. This is where I'm learning how to persevere through discomfort. This is how I'm learning to find an internal sense of enjoyment when I feel bored. This is how I listen to my body so I can recover appropriately. You realize that you're learning and developing and growing as a person every step of the way, and that that is the value in the journey. And so, whether it's running a half marathon or writing a book or starting a podcast or having a kid, like whatever the thing is that you're doing, committing yourself to the growth that happens along the way. Everything that we do in life is an arena for growth. So do what you want. I do, again, think it's important to set a goal and to show yourself that you can commit to it, especially if maybe one of the skills that needs development in your life is commitment and consistency. So if you're someone who you tend to be very excited about a particular pursuit initially, and then you burn out and stop doing it, you probably owe it to yourself to commit to something up until the outcome or up until a particular date or endpoint, because you need to develop that skill of commitment, because that's going to deepen your relationship with yourself. Not because you have to do this thing, not because you're not worthy if you don't, not because this is what someone else has defined as success, but because you're committing to developing better skills. You're committed to developing the skill of commitment, of perseverance, of discipline, but you're going into it without intention. Okay, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to commit to this process so that I can show myself that I can commit to a goal and see it through until the end. It's all about the intention, the purpose that you develop along the way. And I think when we start to look at life as a journey in this way, we find so much more fulfillment and satisfaction in what we're doing, because we recognize that every day that we wake up and decide to take the next right step on this journey, decide to do the hard thing, decide to commit ourselves fully to developing our characters along the way, we can see each day as a success in and of itself without having to delay our sense of satisfaction and gratification to a particular outcome. We don't tie up all of our worth in being able to achieve the A plus. We say, good work today. And when we do that, we reinforce the fact that we are showing up day in and day out. We build this sense of confidence along the way and start to align ourselves with that higher sense of self that we want to see. So I just encourage you, if you find yourself kind of mindlessly chugging along towards a goal that you haven't really put a lot of intention into the day-to-day journey of, back out and say, what do I really want out of this journey? Not the outcome, but what do I want for myself? What do I want to develop in myself along the way? And that's going to be that true sense of satisfaction. And then, are there things that you've committed to that you feel like you should be doing in that, well, I've committed to this, so I should probably just see it through to the end, but maybe you feel your spirit pulling you elsewhere. You can tell that it's uh, hit its expiration date in your life in terms of the amount of reward that it's giving you or the amount of growth that you can experience in this area. Maybe you've hit your ceiling in a particular area and you feel some sense of some sense of commitment in that you feel like you have to stay there because you've already invested so much time, like sunk cost. I've already put so much time into this, so I might as well stay in it. If you're saying that, if you're starting to feel dissatisfied with a process because you're not growing anymore, allow yourself to flow. What is something that you've always wanted to do? What is a pursuit that interests you? Because maybe that is providing a new arena for growth and you've already outgrown this arena. You've learned everything that you needed to. You've gained wisdom. You've developed yourself as a person. You've aligned with your highest self in this area. And now you need a new arena in which to continue developing. So I encourage you, if you find yourself stuck, if you find yourself living life on repeat, come back to your intentions, your internal intentions for the journey. Ask yourself, am I doing what I actually feel called to do? Or am I doing something because I feel some sense of obligation to do so? And if that is true, if you have just stayed in a particular arena because you feel obligated, ask yourself if maybe now is the time to do something new, to branch out, to put yourself in a new environment that's going to really upgrade you, really allow you to grow more, really challenge you, push you to that edge again. Sometimes we commit to a certain journey and we initially feel that sense of discomfort that is challenging, but also indicative of growth. And we love that. We love to grow. But then over time, it becomes familiar and it becomes second nature and intuitive and ingrained. And we're no longer really growing there, but we're comfortable. And if you find yourself comfortable without feeling fulfilled, that's a really great sign that it's time to branch out and do something new and take yourself to the next limit so that you can continue to grow. And when we grow more and more in this life, I think we expand our ability to show up more fully, to experience life in color, to feel engaged in what we're doing with our work and our relationships, to feel like we're getting to know God more throughout our lives. That the more we expand as people, the more we take in more of this world around us and expand the limits of who we are and what we can be and what we can do and everything that we experience. So, this week, I want you to think about arenas for growth. Think about the arenas that you already are in terms of commitments and passions, pursuits, relationships in your life. Are any of them purely out of obligation? Do you find yourself feeling called to enter into a new arena? Or do you need to simply stay in the arenas you're in, but with more intentionality to the journey? Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment. I love engaging with you. If anything stood out to you, please feel free to let me know, comment below, or message me. As a heads up, there is a buy one, get one 50% off sale on Legion protein this week. Highly recommend. I just posted on my story, but I make these amazing chocolate yogurt bowls and chocolate protein oats that are so good with the Dutch chocolate way. If you're looking for a good supplement brand, Legion is the way to go. Huge fan. I have been using them for a long time and I was super excited to finally get to partner with them. And I recommend them to all of my clients, even before I was working with them because of the quality of the supplements. So, highly recommend you check that out. Another thing, I have been working with Nutrisense, which is a continuous glucose monitor company. It's amazing to have a glucose monitor. You can place it on the back of your arm or in your stomach. It's super comfortable. I can wear it during jujitsu. wear it during weightlifting, and it allows me to see how my body responds to different meals in terms of my blood sugar response. And we know that metabolic health is tied to pretty much every disease process in the body. And so, it goes without saying that if we can have healthier metabolic health and manage our blood sugar more effectively, then we can prevent a lot of disease states and reduce inflammation in the body and generally feel much better in our day-to-day lives. So if you're interested in that, I will post a link, a referral link below, as well as a link to the protein sale. Again, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and I will catch you next week on Time Under Tension.